everybody. Welcome to the another edition of the Mike and Bradley Sports Scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative Channel 18, also simulcast on WAT AM 1110, Pikeville, Tennessee. Of course, it's been about a month since we last met here, and of course, again, we apologize. We were supposed to have a Christmas special, but other things happened, and fortunately, we were able to do it. But of course, this is the New Year's version of the sports scene. And we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about the year in review, and we're also going to talk about college football and the college basketball, and NFL football, maybe a little NBA football as well, and maybe a little bit of off-season baseball news to make Bradley happy here. And as I say, with me is Bradley Hargis, my co-host. Bradley, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, the viewers. It's good to be back. It's been a short spell that we were off because of the. I think I had a scheduling conflict the last time. We had to move it, but here we are. New year and new schedule, and we're back on track now.
First thing we're going to talk about is the year in review of the sports area in Bledsoe County and across the nation. Of course, the beginning with Tennessee finishing out its finest season in a number of years with a win over Clemson in the Orange Bowl. They finished number 6 in the nation. Georgia wins the national championship in football. Their second straight national championship. And of course, NCAA basketball, both the Vols and Lady Vols made the NCAA tournament and got into the Sweet 16 round. And then, of course, in the spring, the softball team for Bledsoe County went 22-1, got to the sectionals, but unfortunately was eliminated. Their only loss that cost them a shot at going to Murfreesboro. Of course, in the fall, of course, we had football. High school football, Bledsoe County went 9-3, second in their new region, Region 2A, behind York Institute. Lost in the final seconds to Hampton, but congratulations to them as well. And, of course, now, again, the college football, again, a lot of things happening. Georgia was number 1 for most of the year, but unfortunately lost to Alabama in the SEC championship game, and settled for the Orange Bowl, which they defeated Florida State quite easily. And of course, Tennessee finishing up the season 9-4 with a 35-0 shutout of Iowa in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. As Nico Imulava, or I'll probably get about 5 years
Careful
from now. Nico, we'll just go with Nico.
Nico Imalieva.
MVP honors, rushed for 3 touchdowns and threw for another in a 35-0 shutout of Iowa. And the basketball season has begun here as the Bledsoe County boys improved markedly, as well as the girls. And of course, they'll be back in action tonight against Van Buren County at Spencer. So, let's look at the high school basketball situation here, Bradley. Bledsoe County last year did not do very well at all in basketball, but this year they seem to be doing a lot better. The boys 6-2.
The boys have really come along this year. They're starting to gel together and play together as a team, and the record will speak for itself. I mean, they've played some outstanding basketball. The games that I've watched, they have been very, very well played. And the girls, they are struggling a little bit, but they're starting to find their groove. They have won a couple games now, and they're starting to realize that they're capable. And I think that's the confidence level is not where it should be, and that's where it starts. With any sport that you play, you have to believe that you can succeed and do it. But they're starting to find their identity. The girls are. So, and it couldn't come any sooner because we got a pretty good schedule coming up. Well, with Van Buren, and then with our region schedule, our district schedule later on in February. So it's the second leg of the season is going to be very, very important for our Lady Warriors and our Warriors.
Of course, tomorrow night at Van Buren County, we'll be back home Tuesday night against CSAS in a district game. Then we'll be at Sequatchie County next Friday night. That'll be another district game, and that's one of the big ones we have this year. And of course, we'll have the broadcast of those 2 games on WAT. And of course, we're going to talk about one thing. I think a touching moment that sportsmanship ain't dead. You were there. You saw it, Bradley. At least I hope you did. Bledsoe County boys was just beating the wadding out of Whitwell, and Whitwell was substituting players in as well as Bledsoe County. You had one young man, number 30 for Whitwell, He comes on the plate, and through some sort of prearrangement, everybody sort of backed off and let him shoot a couple of 3-pointers, which he made, and the crowd on both sides cheered him, which tells you. And I was told by a Whitwell fan is that they always put him in there, win or lose, to let him shoot a couple, because he said he's one of the hardest practicing players ever. That tells you something right there, and it tells me that the sportsmanship still is there in this world.
Oh yeah. It was a moving moment. I mean, that young man, he was in there playing as hard as he could, and he got those 3 shots, hit 2 of them, and just tickled him to death. And it was an awesome thing to see. And of course, Bledsoe County had the game well in hand, and it was just one of those things that it was good to see, at that level. Sometimes you see like in other places, but to have it happen right here in front of you at home, it really means a lot. It shows a lot of character on the part of Bledsoe County and Whitwell to work together and make that happen. So I'm tickled to death of that young man. Absolutely, and of course that tells you what it is. And he hopefully, he has a disability, and so, but basically he's just as much part of that Whitwell team as any other, and congratulations to him for being allowed to score those points in that game. And of course, a lot of things, happening with the basketball program. The winter workouts for the football team are resuming after the Christmas break, and Coach Tabor has said that it is doing awfully well and awfully good. Of course, some of the basketball players play football, also play football for the team here as well. And of course, one of the things that they've done at the high school to sort of get the more of the fans' experience is they have this big screen TV near the concession stand, which they could watch the game while they get their sodas. So if you're stuck in line and think you're going to miss part of the game, just turn around, look behind you. It's going on. You can not miss nothing. You can get your drink, get your barbecue sandwich, your nachos, or whatever you're getting, and no matter how long the line is, and still not miss a second of the game. Yeah, it's really important here, because the fan experiences, of course, is one of the great things that you have in what Bledsoe County is trying to do. And of course, I've joked that I could do the game out there in the concession stand, work the concession stand, and do the game at the same time. Well, it is good news for the people that works the concession stand too, because they're stuck. Yeah, they get to watch it too for 8 quarters. They don't get to watch the ball game, but now they can. Yeah, now they can. But good luck with that. Letting you call the game from the. Well, I think stand. Coach Taylor sort of suggested that. Oh my goodness. But anyway, but you never know. You could get a triple your business that way, doing it that way. I'm sure. Absolutely. But anyway, tomorrow night they'll be at Van Buren County. I know your wife's a Van Buren County fan. Have you managed to convert her yet? In everything but basketball. Everything but basketball. Yep. She told me she'd be wearing her maroon, and I said I'll be wearing my blue. And I guess I'm hoping the girl, split games, because if Van Buren wins both of them, I got to wash the dishes. If Bledsoe wins both of them, she's got to wash the dishes. Oh boy! So it may end up being me and her both washing the dishes if we split the game. Is the couch going to be comfortable for you? No, we don't take it that far. But yeah, it's. But speaking of Van Buren, their cheerleaders were on the field at the Citrus Bowl. They were part of that group. They were all dressed in red, white, and blue during the halftime show. And right here at home, little Spencer, Tennessee, Van Buren County cheerleaders went to Orlando and was on the field in front of all those people. So congratulations to them. And I assume they were for Tennessee. I kind of made a joke to my wife when she said that the Van Buren County cheerleaders are going down there, and I said, do they know how to cheer for football? And she said, well, cheering's cheering. I said, well, as long as they don't tell them to dribble up and down the court and shoot for 2 points, they'll be okay. Yeah. But no, I didn't get to see them on the TV, but they were on the field. They made that trip. Of course, that was already planned. They had already signed up for that before Tennessee was even chosen. Yeah. But perks of them, they got to go down there and see. Likely the vast majority of them were Tennessee fans, so they got to see Tennessee put the possum whomp on Iowa.
there is. You use the term possum womp when it doesn't even exist. I mean,
you said yourself it exists.
I never said that.
Have video record of Coach Tabor being here and explaining to you what that was, and rendered you speechless. You had no clue. You're like, what in the world? How does he know about this? Well, if Coach Tabor knows about it and players know about it and I know about it, then that's all he needs to know about it.
But nobody in Lusk knows what it is.
Well, that's because they hadn't been around the football games a lot. They need to get into football games and read the football language book because they want to learn how to say all those things.
Hey, I asked T.A. Smith if he knew what possum womp was, and he said he never heard of it.
T.A. should know what that is. He's a Lusk product, and I'm sure he's sometimes probably heard it through the years, but maybe just forgot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and he says you didn't tell him about this show either, so, you know.
Well, you know.
Yeah, well.
That's one of those things. I don't go around tooting my own horn. You do that enough.
Whatever. Well, when we come back for our second segment, we'll, of course, talk about the college football scene and who's going to be playing in the national championship game and who won the bowl games and who basically, let's just say that some of it was pretty funny and some of it was just plain sad and tragic. As you're watching the Mike and Bradley sports scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative Channel 18.
You need a bank that you can depend on. Here at Citizens Tri-County Bank, we have the most dependable staff that you will ever meet. Call in, you will not get an automated attendant, you'll get a person. But on the other side, we have all the technology that anyone would need, from apps to online banking to bill pay. So please come and grow with us as we're about to celebrate our 50th year. We are the only community bank you will ever need.
Come and see the beautiful Sequatchie Valley, and while you're here, visit the Dunlap Mercantile. We have a full line of hats from Resistol, Stetson, Charlie One Horse, American Hat Makers, GG Pip, Greeley hats from the TV show Yellowstone, and a full line of vintage hats. Make sure to check out our hat bar where we can clean, shape, and customize a hat just for you, right here at the Dunlap Mercantile.
At Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter, we're committed to be better. Better prices, better vehicles, a better experience. Your Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter understands that you rely on us to provide you with the highest quality of used vehicles. With over 350 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. So what are you waiting for? Let us show you a better experience with the Jason Lewis Automotive family. Come visit us at Rankin Avenue here in Dunlap or on the web at dunlapsupercenter.com.
Okay, we are back, and while we were off the air, we were talking about Bradley's favorite cat, which we won't go too much into.
I'm not going to talk about that cat on the air. I'm afraid of what I might say about it.
Anyway, he talks about his dog, which likes me.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, we'll get back to the lighter side of things. College football. Well, the college football season, we know who's going to be playing in the national championship game. And for the first time in about a dozen years, it ain't going to be an SEC team, as Michigan, beat Alabama in overtime in the Rose Bowl, basically stopping them on a 4th down and goal try. And so Michigan wins 27-20 over Alabama. And Washington, meanwhile, beats Texas, a future SEC team. And I used to shudder to say the word future SEC team because I don't consider Texas to be an SEC style team.
Same right.
37-30. So that next Monday night in Houston, Texas, it will be Michigan and Washington, the Big Ten versus the what's left of the Pac-12. Mm-hmm. And sort of remind me of the old Rose Bowl games they used to have between that. So two undefeated teams are going to go at each other, and who's going to national championship team. Of course, bowl games, in the SEC, 9 bowl games for the SEC teams. They went 5-4. Tennessee wins over Iowa 35-0 as Nico gets his first start as a quarterback, and rushed for 3 touchdowns, named the MVP. Tennessee, Iowa 4 turnovers, and Tennessee picked one off for a pick 6, and it ended up 35-0 after a scoreless first quarter. It ended up 14-0 in the second, and then 21 points in the third and fourth quarters to seal the victory. The first shutout by a Tennessee team by Tennessee in a bowl game since the 17-0 win over Oklahoma in the 1939 Orange Bowl.
You was there for that one.
I don't think I was quite there, but my dad might have been. But anyway, LSU wins over Wisconsin in the Outback Bowl, or what do they choose to call it now. Ole Miss has their first ever 11-win season in the Peach Bowl, beating Penn State. Georgia, well, that wasn't a football game. That was a scrimmage. Really is that Florida State, their hearts definitely weren't there, and most of their players weren't.
That's one thing about that. Here's my take on this, and I know I've got some good friends that are Florida State fans, and you can cheer for whoever you want to cheer for, but the difference in the climate around the teams, Georgia felt that they should have been in the playoff. Georgia was left out of the playoff because they lost their championship game against Alabama.
Right.
So, Kirby Smart makes the comment that Georgia should be one of the teams because you want to put the best 4 teams out there, and rightfully so. He certainly has the resume to back that up.
Yeah.
But he said that they prepared for the bowl game. I think you had maybe 2 or 3 of their starters that opted out.
Yeah.
The rest were there.
Yeah.
Georgia wanted to finish what they started. Florida State, on the other hand, ever since they got left out, they've done nothing but complain, because they were left out. And I'm again, rightfully so. I think Florida State deserved to be in it too because they were undefeated. They won their conference. I mean, they deserve to be in it too. But the fact of the matter is, they weren't. So you have 2 different mindsets here. You've got Georgia, championship caliber team, who wants to finish what they started, and you got Florida State, who should have been in but wasn't in, and the vast majority of their players decided to either transfer, opt out, tuck tail, and run. They just give up.
Yep. And
that's the difference in a mindset of a championship program and one that's still building. People that claim that teams like Florida State and Texas and all them they're back. They're back.
Yeah.
They're back where they used to be. No, they're not. No, they're not. You can be 13-0 and the mindset still be what it was. You've got to get the mindset at the top. Coach Norville has got to be the one that gets out there and says, hey, we're a united front. We're going to go out here. We're going to play this ball game. Florida State didn't come to play. They came with half their team. They came out there hoping for the best and just, absolutely got slaughtered.
Norville said himself the team quit on him. And that's about as accurate. Because I'll put you this way right now. First off, is that you look at Tennessee and Clemson. Okay, they took 2 losses. Okay, they were out of it, and both teams could have said, "Oh, we don't want to be there." And what it is, they both came in there and played their hearts out, and it was an interesting 31-14 win by Tennessee. You look at this; it was 7-0 at the end of the first. Okay, Florida State was still in striking range. What happens? Georgia goes on a 35-3 rampage, 42-3 at the halftime. And I think it's at this point Florida State just sort of should have just thrown in the towel.
After the 3rd touchdown, they were done.
Yeah.
You could see it in their faces, you could see it in their body language, you could see it in the sidelines. It just wasn't there. And I'm not saying this to be negative toward Florida State. I'm not saying this to be, even positive toward Georgia. But what I'm saying is you've got 2 completely different mindsets surrounding a team in Georgia and Florida State.
Yeah.
Florida State's not there yet. They were 13-0. Yes, they won their conference. They lost their bowl game and blowout. But still, you got to have that consistency and you got to have that mindset that you are going to build and continue a championship program, not just go for a one and done. And
you look at Bobby Bowden. Had he been there, he would have jumped all over and said, "Hey, you guys are not playing what you ought to be playing. You got talent. You got sure, you got a lot of your fellows not going to play in this game, but you cannot just give up and give it out there on the road." They could have climbed in the game and made this respectable. It's 63-3. That's the 2nd straight year Georgia has blown out an opponent. TCU, remember last year, was 65-7, and then now it's 63-3, which makes it the worst bowl loss by any team ever.
And even with the opt-outs and even with the transfers, Florida State's a Power 5 school. They should have the talent. If they're back as they want to be, they should have the talent about 2 and 3 deep. Of course, you're not going to have a team like Alabama that's 4 and 5 deep, obviously.
Yeah.
But they should have some good players that are waiting to get their chance that should have been able to perform better than that. Of course, I was surprised that Iowa didn't put any points on the board against Tennessee.
Yeah.
But it's just the nature of the beast. And Tennessee come out there and played hard, and there you go.
And,
I was surprised though to see that the physicality of Michigan against Alabama.
Brew McCoy says he'll be back for his senior season, which is a great plus for Tennessee. That's he has something he has to show out there, and he could have easily gone into the NFL draft, so he's going to be back next year. But you look at the bowl games you got here right now. You look at people saying the bowl games are meaningless now. They are in a way, but they still are a reward for the teams to go.
Right.
Bowl games. You look at the bowl games when they started out, they were meant to try to get tourists down there in the winter, and that's what they were there for. The Rose Bowl started out. The Rose Bowl started out actually because they were running chariot races, and somebody said, "Let's have a football game." So they brought Southern Cal and Michigan in there. Michigan beat Southern Cal 49-0, and they were so humiliated by that, they went back to chariot races for 13 years. Then there's a story of this. 40 years later, they brought Michigan to play Southern Cal in the Rose Bowl. Michigan beat Southern Cal, same score, 45-0. And they had a guy in there that says, 40 years and they ain't improved a lick. that's how it is. You look at Auburn. Auburn did not show very much against Maryland. Maryland was just a little stronger team, but they were still made it respectable. You look at Clemson in Kentucky. Clemson came down from 14 points down to beat Kentucky.
Yeah.
So that indicates that that it is still there. You look at what Tennessee did. Tennessee, they said Tennessee can't run on Iowa. Well, Tennessee ran on Iowa.
Yeah.
They adjusted the offense so that they did not throw the whole book at Nico. They basically don't go out and make mistakes. He didn't make mistakes. He threw a few bad passes, but he never threw. He never forced it. He never tried to go for the bomb. He never tried to do that thing. You notice that Tennessee got back into the old, pounded out, grounded out on the ground.
SEC
football instead of the fast pace some that you saw the past couple of seasons.
Yep.
That's the thing that you have. Nico. People said about Nico. He said he's the quarterback of the future, and he is, and he will. He won the MVP deservedly. That's all there is to it. And you look at all those teams that you have. Texas A&M. They didn't look very good against Oklahoma State. You look at all the teams that they go down there. Sometimes you had this like the fights that you had, the brawls you had at the end of the game. That was not something you shouldn't have. But to look at it this way. Now you look at Alabama. Some people saying that Nick Saban is going to announce his retirement probably in a few days. We don't know. He's 72 years old. He's won 7 national championships. If he had won 8, he'd been the winningest coach to win the most national championships.
I think he'll go for one more. I think he'll get that. And I think his career, Nick Saban, arguably one of the best coaches to ever grace the field. And as bad as I hate to say that, it's true. As a football fan, he knows how to prepare a team. He knows how to prepare a coaching staff to prepare said team. And he brings in the right talent, the right people, gets the things going the way they're supposed to go. So many of his assistants have went on to be head coaches. Some have been more successful than others, but still, he's produced a lot of head coaches through his programs. And I just don't see him sitting on 7. I think I still feel like in a way that he has a little something to prove.
Yeah.
not that he's not already had a stellar career, he's already won so many championships, and done very well. I think he wants to be the best. He wants to be the winningest coach of national titles.
Well, the thing about it is he's won 206 games as a head coach at Alabama. That's second behind Bear Bryant with 232. But the thing about it is that with Saban, of course, he was from West Virginia. He went to Kent State, started his coaching career at Kent State as an undergraduate assistant, then went to Michigan State. Didn't win a lot at Michigan State, but we could be grateful that he beat Ohio State in '98 to give Tennessee the number 1 slot. Then he comes to LSU, beats us in 2001, cost us a national title. Then wins the national championship in 2003, goes to Miami, finds that the pro football game is not as exciting. Whereas basically they don't work for him. He works for the players.
Yeah. And
he found that out, and then he comes back to Alabama. And people, a lot of people at Alabama were not too thrilled about it. They wanted an Alabama boy. They wanted a Bear Bryant boy. They wanted somebody who played or coached under Bear Bryant, and that wasn't going to happen. And he goes in there and he disproves the theory that only an Alabama boy can win at Alabama. He disproves it. He was a national championship 3rd year there. And he basically just keeps winning and winning and winning and winning. Mm-hmm. And, you look at his record, and it just tells you a lot. You look at Kirby Smart. Well, he goes to Georgia. He's a Georgia alumnus. He goes out there, and he starts to learn. He gets Georgia up slowly until he wins 2 national titles. Almost won a 3rd. And that sort of thing. You look at Lane Kiffin. Now I hate to say this about Lane Kiffin. I don't care for the man. I have no liking for the man. He goes to Alabama and he finds out that Nick Saban is worse on his coaches than he's on his players.
Yeah.
And he taught him a lot. And he goes to Ole Miss and wins a lot there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Lane Kiffin will ever win an SEC title at Ole Miss.
I was reading a storyboard of people who were commenting as far as Georgia fans and football fans across the country, mm-hmm. and there was I'm not trying to scare any Georgia fans or anything, but there was a comment and a lengthy discussion made. Whether the sources are credible or not, I don't know, but several were saying it, that it's very possible that the Falcons may offer Kirby Smart the head coaching job.
Kirby Smart will not leave Athens.
And I do not see him leaving Athens, but if you throw, several more $1 million, mm-hmm. You never can tell. He's already proven himself here. He's won the national championship twice.
Uh-huh.
He's done all he can do as a coach in the NCAA. Maybe you want to try his hand at that. I don't know. I just heard that and was reading through those things, and when I read the first comment, I said, "You got to be outside your mind." And then the more I read, the more I was like, well, maybe there is something to this. I don't know. It remains to be seen. The coaching carousel, now that bowl season is over with, minus the national championship that's still yet to be played, the coaching carousel is going to get quite interesting. A lot of people are going different places, and vacancies and things like that are coming open. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out.
Well, that Bear Bryant in the 1970s was offered a chance to be a head coach at the Miami Dolphins with a partial ownership stake, and they would give him anything he wanted. Mm-hmm. They were going to give him anything he wanted. He had it set out. It was a nice little deal. Now all he had to do was go to the athletics board at the University of Alabama and ask to be released from his contract. And they said, well, he had 3 or 4 bad seasons, and they said, well, they'll be glad to let him go. No, they said, if you can get a coach as good as you are, we will release you from your contract. Well, he went around and talked. He talked to the U.S. Southern Cal coach, who had just beat his team like a rug the year before. He said, "Would you like to come coach at Alabama?" He says, "No." I said, "Don't you want to drive all those? You got to drive all those freeways." He says, "I like driving the freeways." And then he realizes that he didn't need all these stuff. He either had it already, or he didn't need it, or didn't think. And that's when he decided he was going to rebuild Alabama football. That's why he went to the Wishbone instead of Pro Set. And next thing you know, he was off and running.
Yep.
And that was a big thing. Is that Steve Spurrier? Look at him. He left Florida Could have won another national title. When he goes to Washington, didn't work.
No, it didn't work at all in Washington.
And he wanted to go back to Florida. And you know what they told him? You're one of the candidates. Basically, they told me, hey, we're not going to hire you back just because you want to come back. You have to get in line like everybody else. So he goes to South Carolina and wins there, and that sort of thing. But the thing about it is that college coaches find out that pro football is a totally different animal.
It is completely different. I mean, you can't run a professional program like a college.
No, it's like John McKay said, University of Southern California coach. Who's heard of the University of the Rams?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's how it is. Because what it is that UT can't just up and just move to the West Coast because it feels like it. The pro football teams and pro baseball teams do it all the time. You look at the Raiders, where they were at Oakland, they were at Los Angeles, Las Vegas now,
back
right?
To Oakland, and then
And I wouldn't be surprised if done up in Chattanooga in a couple of years.
Well, the A's have followed suit. They've left Oakland. They're going to be with the Las Vegas Athletics, at least this coming season.
Yeah.
Not going to be playing in Las Vegas. I don't think they have a stadium, but
I don't have yet.
But they are. That's just the nature of it. I mean, cities and things like that lobby for these teams, and when they milk them for all they can, they start upping the ante on them and trying to get them. The same thing happened to Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta at Turner Field, the city was upping their taxes.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we've agreed to this. Well, we're going to have to do this. So they just said, okay, fine. They built a stadium outside Marietta.
Yeah.
It's still Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, but the
stadium is built outside Atlanta. And it was so bad between the government in Atlanta and the Atlanta Braves organization that when they went to take the statues of Warren Spahn, Hank Aaron, and all of those Braves legends that were enshrined there at Turner Field, they said, no, it's connected to the property. That's property of the city of Atlanta. And they were like, okay, fine. So they went, still built the new stadium, and built brand new statues.
Yeah.
So now you have Georgia State, from what I understand, playing in Atlanta at Turner Field with all the baseball statues around. But it's just business is one thing, but I mean, what happened to the days you could work with one another and get things done?
It's like the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yeah.
I was watching a documentary on the Brooklyn Dodgers, and they were winning and yet their field, Ebbets Field, was falling apart. It was it was not. So the owners found a property just a couple of miles north. Great place to go. It was plenty of parking, plenty of good thing. Well, the city of New York got involved in that little deal. They said, hey, we got a piece of property for you, and it was in Queens. And somebody, and the owner said, whoever heard of the Queens Dodgers? Because that would have been, because that's not in Brooklyn. And then Los Angeles said, hey, we'll build you a brand new stadium. We'll give you all the parking. You had all these little toys and bells and whistles if you move out here. So what did they do? They went out there and became the Los Angeles Dodgers. The same thing with the San Francisco Giants. The New York Giants had the same problem. So they moved about and became the San Francisco Giants. That's how it is, because really airplane travel made it easier for a team. It's like this. Like the Southern teams. People at Washington Redskins were up in arms. They're Washington Commanders now, to be correct. We're up in arms because Atlanta got the Falcons and Dallas got the Cowboys. They suddenly took away the Southern monopoly that Washington had. And that sort of thing. But anyway, you look at the bowls in college football, and we get back to college football here. You look at the bowls. There have been so many bowls over the years. Some actually, you look at some of the defunct bowls. You have like the old Hall of Fame Bowl, which was in Birmingham, moved to Tampa, became the Outback Bowl, that sort of thing. Then you had the Oil Bowl. This is something that you never heard of. This was at 1940s. It was a predecessor to the Bluebonnet Bowl that you had out there. You look at, they changed the name. They have the sponsorships and they have all that. You look like the Sun Bowl. It was a John Hancock Bowl for years. Yet people kept referring to it as the Sun Bowl until finally John Hancock said, "Okay, I'm out of here. You can't have John Hancock on it."
Yeah.
And then of course the Tax Slayer Bowl, which was the Gator Bowl, and finally they said, okay, we'll put the Gator Bowl after Tax Slayer, so everyone know what it is. But bowls are just Kirby Smart said bowls are just not all that important anymore to people. They don't seem. Yeah, you get the fans in, certainly, and the team who goes on 8-4. Kirk Herbstreit said you have to win 8 games. Should win 8 games before you can go to a bowl. Kirk Herbstreit.
Well, money talks, and you're going to have these teams and these people selling these stadiums out. Mm-hmm. And as long as they can get a 6-6 team to play, they're gonna have those smaller bowls. That's just a money thing.
I always said they ought to have a bowl game in Knoxville. Just thinking you would have the Volunteer Bowl or
you have 107,000 seats to fill.
Yeah,
so
you could fill it. You could fill them. You get an SEC team up there, and you have a Big Ten team come down there and play. That would be an interesting thing.
They could always bring back the Bristol Bowl.
That
was going to be.
They talked about it, but
that was going to be an every season thing. And I think after Tennessee and Virginia Tech played, there was one game at Western Carolina.
Yeah, it had 20,000,
and it was just not worth flip.
Yeah,
and they decided not to do that, but. A bowl game now, on the other hand, it might be different. You might be able to sell out if you get 2 premier teams in there.
Yeah, you could you had Tennessee and Virginia Tech, which was a guaranteed seller because they were equidistant.
Yeah,
and that sort of thing. Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about NFL football, the playoff situations, who's in the playoffs, who's on the bubble, who's out, so on and so forth, here and there and everywhere. As of course the regular season is about ready to wind down this Sunday, and then the playoffs begin. As you're watching the Mike and Bradley Sports Scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative Channel 18.
At Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter, we're committed to be better. Better prices, better vehicles, a better experience. Your Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter understands that you rely on us to provide you with the highest quality of used vehicles. With over 350 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. So what are you waiting for? Let us show you a better experience with the Jason Lewis Automotive family. Come visit us at Rankin Avenue here in Dunlap or on the web at dunlapsupercenter.com.
Come and see the beautiful Sequatchie Valley. And while you're here, visit the Dunlap Mercantile. We have a full line of hats from Resistol, Stetson, Charlie One Horse, American Hat Makers, GG Pip, Greeley hats from the TV show Yellowstone, and a full line of vintage hats. Make sure to check out our hat bar where we can clean, shape, and customize a hat just for you, right here at the Dunlap Mercantile.
You need a bank that you can depend on. Here at Citizens Tri-County Bank, we have the most dependable staff that you will ever meet. Call in, you will not get an automated attendant, you'll get a person. But on the other side, we have all the technology that anyone would need, from apps to online banking to bill pay. So please come and grow with us as we're about to celebrate our 50th year. We are the only community bank you will ever need.
Okay, we're back. We're going to talk about the NFL season, which is winding down this Sunday with the final game. They have 17 games instead of 16 like they used to. And there are a lot of teams right now who have made the playoffs. Of course, Kansas City and Baltimore, I believe, have already clinched the top spot and get a bye.
Detroit's clinched
playoff berth, 11 wins, 5 losses, most wins they've had in a long while. Among other things, Philadelphia. And on the bubble is the Falcons. The Falcons are still in it, and a lot of things have to happen this weekend for them to get in. Is it possible that you're going to see a Detroit Kansas City matchup in the Super Bowl?
Well, it's possible. I've always been I've never disliked the Lions, to be honest with you. I mean, when I was in school, Barry Sanders was in his heyday and was doing very well. He was one of the best running backs, arguably, that ever played the game. He quit in his prime. He didn't let himself get beat up, but he would have probably broken every single rushing record that exists had he stayed with it. But I've got friends of mine that are from that area that are big Detroit Lion fans, and I'm not against that. I'd like to see the Lions succeed. They've been one of those teams that struggled for several years, and I'd like to see them go ahead and make the big game. But you never know. I mean, with the way the football is now, I think Detroit should have won that game against Dallas a few days ago, but their controversial 2-point conversion was called back, and you can argue that all the way to the bank, and I'd probably argue it to the bank and back if that was me. But nonetheless, they did lose, but they still have clinched a playoff berth, and I think it's going to be an interesting playoff scenario set up.
Yeah, of course. We can always get your cat to come here and predict who's going to win.
No,
he might get lucky.
I can always leave the cat here when I leave too.
I'm sure the cat would appreciate you doing that. Anyway, but a lot of things. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens are going to have a first round bye. They're not going to. So they get a little bit of a week off to see who's they're going to match up against next. And of course, you look at what's happening here. The Washington Commanders. There's some people saying, hey, we ought to go back to the Redskins, and
there's many people that are lobbying for that, and the argument. The thing that bothers me, everyone in this area likely has Native American ancestry.
Well, I certainly do.
And when you have groups of people who have minimal or no Native American ancestry, calling that racist, racial, thing that shouldn't be said. But then you have the Native American organizations that go on record and say this is a compliment to us. It's a to be recognized, to be on that level.
Yeah, it's like the Bledsoe County Warriors. And
I'm thinking, okay, if the Native American groups are going on record in support of these names, example, the Braves, because after Washington changed their name to Commanders, or actually just a Washington football team there for a couple of years, and they were coming after the Braves and the Tomahawk Chop, saying how that was racist. Well, the Cherokee Nation from that area penned a letter to the Atlanta Braves organization and said, we do not find offense in that. We are perfectly fine with that. We think that is great that you honor the heritage like that. And I'm thinking, then where's the argument?
It's like the Dallas Cowboys. Is it offensive to Cowboys?
Well, it could be. I mean, where does it end, really? I mean, you have to understand that these are mascots.
Yeah.
These are, yes, you might say, well, redskin is derogatory, but if the Indian organizations that are writing these letters saying that it's not taken that way, then why should we determine that it is? Yeah. It's just one of those things, and it's just the culture we're living in today. It makes it so hard to do anything without offending somebody. I mean, somebody probably write a letter to Bledsoe Telephone say they don't like the color gray. Well, here I am wearing a gray jacket.
Or they say to us, well, we don't like Mike Smith's gray hair. I said, well, okay, fine. I'm old. What do you expect out of me?
People are going to find something to complain about.
Yeah, they will complain about. I mean, I hear all the time. You look at Bledsoe County Warriors. Are you gonna ask them to change Bledsoe County's Warriors into the Bledsoe County Rednecks? No, you're not going to do that.
Well, the Cleveland Indians changed their name to the Guardians. Yeah. About the same time with the Washington Redskins, and the people started really getting on the bandwagon here. Until the Redskins changed their name to the Commanders, and finally everybody was like, wait a minute, what are we doing? I mean, seriously? You've just taken, one of the most storied programs in the NFL and changed the name. And, and how many other teams have names that follow along with that? Yeah. Braves, Warriors. How many teams that had the Indians name on the high school and college level? I mean, how many Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, how many college teams have the name Volunteers as their nickname? One, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, because what it is because they say Tennessee was a volunteer state, so they got the name Volunteers and the Vols, which means basically, and nobody expects them to sit there and change their name because they're not going to do it. First off, they're not going to do it. Second of all, they're not going to change their color. You look at the orange. People will say, "What are they wearing orange for?" Well, it fits because it's the Daisy, American Daisy, which was on the hill, and that sort of thing. I mean, that sort of thing. It's like it's like the walking horse. I mean, somebody complained one time when they had the walking horse at homecoming games. They will say, "Well, why do you want to put a horse down there? That's abusive to the horse." Well, it's certainly true that sometimes there are abusives in any system, and that's the way it is. But the walking horse is one of the thing about it. Is the same thing with Smokey. People say, "Well, the dog shouldn't be on a leash." Well, what?
I'll tell you right now, if you've read what goes into caring for those mascots.
People
specifically Uga from Georgia and Smokey from Tennessee and the Collie Dog at Texas A&M, they are better off than 90% of the people in this country. I mean, they are groomed daily, they are fed daily, they are exercised daily, they are, they have therapy, they get massages.
Yeah, they are
ridiculous.
Spoiled.
It's ridiculous. Yes, these mascots, and people are up in arms saying, well, they shouldn't be down there. Well, my goodness.
Everybody likes Smokey. Whenever they see Smokey at a game,
they're treated like royalty.
Yeah,
I mean, they are not abused.
They're treated well. There's like people who go over and pet Smokey.
Yeah.
Even the opposing fans for Smokey. They had a story that
unless you're Alabama and you kick at him.
That's a story. That was a good story. Alabama quarterback Scott Hunter was getting ready for the game, pregame, and Smokey was sort of like, so he takes a kick at the dog, misses. And Brian says, "Scott, we got enough problem up here without you trying to kick their dog." That sort of thing. And of course, they had a South Carolina player was going toward the goal line, and he headed toward the end zone. Remember, Smokey leaped out and lunges at him. And that South Carolina just pulls away, from that sort of thing. But look at it this way: is that Smokey, of course, and that sort of thing. Like Bledsoe County, of course, had the galloping horse with the Warrior Princess on. I wish she had her last year. She wasn't there, but that was a great thing.
Well, good news for her is she got a job at the Dolly Parton Stampede. She's one of the riders in there now.
Oh, that's
so she is moved up in the world. She is now a rider at the Stampede. I about to say Dixie Stampede, and there's a defensive thing again.
Yeah,
but it's the Dolly Parton Stampede. She's riding up there. So if you get a chance to go up there and see Chelsea. Do that. Be sure to let everybody know you're from Bledsoe County when she's riding up through there. Holler pipe will salute you or something, and you might get a picture made with her there on the side when she comes around.
She takes something she loves. She makes a good thing out of that, and that sort of thing. Well, of course, some final thoughts that we are, of course, going to close out here today. Here is the New Year's edition of the Mike and Bradley Sports Scene. Bradley, what have you to be thankful for past year besides working with me?
Well, that one particularly is not on the thankful list, but it is on the prayer list. Definitely for God to give me the strength to get through it. But there's so much to be thankful for. Look at where we live. I mean, this community. Yes, it's got some, things you don't like about it, and there may be some people you don't get along with, but by and large, we are one of the most blessed people in the most blessed areas of the most blessed country in the world. We get to live in this beautiful valley, with our families and the rich heritage that goes along with that. And there's Dorothy, actually Judy Garland, who was playing Dorothy, said it best. There's no place like home. This is home, and to look at all the things going on. I mean, there's so many positives. Are there bad? Sure. Are there negatives? Sure. Make a list and see which one's bigger. I guarantee you, if you're actually honest with yourself, you'll find more positive things that are going on in this county and this country than you find negatives. So we don't have nothing to complain about. But I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for obviously for my family and the people that are around me in my life. And
absolutely.
You can't you can't make it without that. I mean, you got to have some people around you. You know, some people say you got to have that village to raise the nut, and I guess I'm the nut, and I have to have that village. But I'll take it. I'll take it. But I'm thankful they have a chance to do the things that we do, as far as see these ball games and when without having to worry about them being taken away from us. I mean, this is part of being in this country, and
absolutely,
and getting the joys to see these young men grow into college athletes, and college athletes mature and grow into professional athletes, and then professional athletes get spoiled and make all this money and forget what they're actually there to do and play a ball game. So, I mean, where else can you do that? Where else can you do that? I mean, United States, Bledsoe County. I mean, what more could we ask for? If we got plenty of food to eat, clothes on our back, what more could you ask for? The Lord's been good to us.
We don't have any flying monkeys around here, so let's be grateful for that. Us also.
Well, we got monkeys; they just don't fly.
But anyway, of course, I'm grateful that we have an opportunity to do this show, to sports. I know a lot of people said they wanted the sports show, and then they got it. And whether we have satisfied them is to be determined, but apparently people are happy here. We thank everybody for tuning into this show. We thank everybody here as well. Of course, we are thankful for the young men and women of Bledsoe County who love to play the game and love to play the sport and love to live life, and we hope that they grow up to be something very, very special. Of course, basketball begins tomorrow night. Bledsoe will be visiting Van Buren County, and Bradley, I hope that you're ready for that couch tomorrow night. But Bledsoe County will be visiting Van Buren County. Will be home next Tuesday night to face off against Chandler School for the Arts and Sciences, or Phoenix, used to call Phoenix. And then we'll be at Sequatchie County next Friday night for their annual basketball version of the Border Rivalry. And we'll have the broadcast of those games on WAT AM 1110, with broadcast beginning at 5:50 p.m. with tip-off at 6 p.m. The girls' game first and the boys as well. And, of course, we all hope that you are here. And, of course, next Monday night is the national championship game in football between Michigan and Washington. Your pick on that game, Bradley?
I've got to go Michigan.
I would say Michigan, too. I think Michigan's got a little more in the tank.
Michigan is more of a physical team than what I saw when Texas played Washington. But Penix Jr. is an excellent quarterback, and he is an excellent leader. So it's going to be a shootout, I think. I don't think it's going to be one of those low-scoring games. I think that both offenses are pretty potent, and I look for it to be a good game. As far as a watch list is concerned, yes, watch out for that national title game Monday. Watch out for the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. Watch out for them. Watch out for the Dodgers when the game starts again, when the season starts again.
The Balls and the Lady Balls in basketball this year, the number 5 team in the nation now.
Watch out for Nico next year. There a lot of buzz going around him. Don't want to build him up so high that he, we build the expectations so high that he can't reach them. But he is definitely going to be a special thing for Tennessee.
I will learn how to pronounce his last name by next season. But anyway, Tennessee, the basketball team, number 5 in the polls. They, of course, last night beat Townsend State, and before going to play Ole Miss in the start of SEC play, the women's team started to show some strength as well. So Bradley, your usual closing words.
Go Blue, go Braves, go Big Orange.
So that'll do it for here, and of course we will see you in 2 weeks as we will discuss the national championship game in the NFL playoffs and just various other subjects which will come to mind. So again, we bid you farewell. We'll see you in 2 weeks as you're watching the Mike and Bradley Sports Scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative Channel 18. Go Big Orange.
Brought to you by Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative in the Sequatchie Valley.